Hi, everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining Mayor Karen Bass for the LA Strong Return and Rebuild webinar series happening every Tuesday and Thursday from about 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. We are here today to hear about some great updates from our assessor's office, our county assessor, Jeff Prang. We will also hear pool guidance. We heard many questions about what to do about your pools, what to do in terms of potentially draining them, what not to do, and so forth. So we will hear lots of information both about property tax relief and pools today, as well as a little bit of information about Caltrans and the current situation with PCH. If we go ahead and please go to the next slide, we'll make sure that everybody knows for all of these webinars, we have multiple ways that you can tune in. We have American Sign Language available as well as closed captioning. For those that are interested in American Sign Language, please go ahead and click on the interpretation globe at the bottom of your screen, or the More button with the 3 dots. Then you will see the interpretation globe, and then you will be able to select American Sign Language. If you're interested in closed captioning, please click the link in the chat, and you will, after a brief delay, be able to see this meeting in closed captioning. Thank you all for joining us again tonight. Next slide. Again, we're going to start with remarks from Mayor Karen Bass, followed by a status update on PCH, property tax relief presentation by our assessor, Jeff Prang, as well as pool guidance by a variety of departments. And with that, I will welcome to the stage Mayor Karen Bass.
Good evening, everyone. Appreciate you taking the time to participate in the webinars. We want to continue to do these every Tuesday and Thursday, but we really want to make sure that we bring to you decision makers, leaders who can answer questions and concerns that you have. That's why we have our county assessor here today for your questions around taxes. Hopefully you're getting our FAQs, frequently asked questions. We try to update it all the time to make sure that we are able to answer any question or concern you might have during the webinar. So progress is continuing in terms of phase 1 and phase 2. We still have individuals that have not either opted in or opted out. I'm concerned about that. I'm also concerned about individuals who have opted out, who now are having challenges getting the debris removed from their homes. So please think very hard and very careful if you opt out to make sure that you will be able to have a contractor who is eligible, who is licensed to come in and remove the debris, and that you know well in advance where that debris is going to go. We have had individuals that have run into trouble trying to get the debris moved on their own. So again, please consider that. Please decide to opt in and opt out so that we can move forward with rebuilding in the Palisades. I want to mention again, I know everybody's familiar with our Disaster Recovery Center. We're now over 7,000 individuals that have visited, but we also opened the One-Stop Rebuilding Center, where you can go in and meet with 12 different city departments. We'd love to have your feedback for those of you that have visited. We want to know what's working and what isn't working. This is something that we're doing new, and we don't want to do it unless it is actually making a difference for you and making it easier. The other day, we opened up an Impact Workers and Family Center, and I think I asked, and I'll continue to ask, individuals that either worked in your home, on your property, or if you knew of individuals that worked in the commercial businesses in the Palisades, please let them know about the Impacted Worker Center. We have nonprofits that actually are able to make grants up to $2,000. We also have a variety of resources, jobs. We have county, city, state, and local and nonprofits that are there providing resources to individuals. And the people there will also help individuals fill out whatever applications are required. One program that is often undersubscribed in the state of California is the Earned Income Tax Credit, where families have the potential to get a return of up to $10,000. And that's something that the individuals and the organizations there can help people that have worked for you fill out those forms. Oftentimes, there are public assistant benefits available that the public is not really even aware exist. That is one of the purposes of this center. So thank you for participating. Your feedback, tell us who you want to come and participate in these webinars, who you want to hear from, and we will make sure to have those individuals available to you to answer any questions or concerns you might have. So with that, I will turn it back over to Deputy Chief of Staff, Jenny Delwood. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, Mayor. Next up, we have a short presentation from our colleagues at Caltrans regarding PCH, Pacific Coast Highway. Thank you so much, Lauren Wonder. You're up, Caltrans.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Good evening, everyone. Wanted to update everybody on the opening of Pacific Coast Highway. As of 6 a.m. this morning, Caltrans and its partners at the Los Angeles Police Department, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, California Highway Patrol, and other city and state agencies have expanded the soft closure of PCH to allow access to Palisades, Malibu, and unincorporated Los Angeles County for residents who live in the Palisades fire burn area and who require this route for essential travel. Residents impacted by the fire, school bus traffic, essential business owners, and workers may access PCH. This is in addition to the emergency personnel, contractors, and utility workers. Access points will remain the same at Chautauqua Boulevard in Los Angeles and Carbon Beach Terrace in Malibu. PCH in this section will be reduced to one lane in each direction with a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. This is not a change from before. Traffic signals will be flashing red. Motorists should treat the intersections as four-way stops, even if the traffic lights are not illuminated due to a power outage. There is no parking, no stopping, and no pedestrians allowed in the work zone, as there is heavy equipment still moving in and out of lanes. There's one lane through the McClure Tunnel from the westbound 10 freeway to northbound PCH, and one lane entering northbound PCH from the California Incline. Motorists should expect delays where these two lanes merge into one lane at Chautauqua. The lane closures along PCH will allow for the Army Corps of Engineers, utility workers, debris haulers, and wildfire recovery contractors to work safely. We are urging motorists to avoid the area except for essential travel and seek alternate routes. Malibu visitors should travel to the area via the 101 freeway and Las Virgenes, Malibu Canyon roads, or Canaan Doom Road. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren, and really appreciate all the work that Caltrans has been doing to keep us all safe and to keep our roads as safe as possible. With that, we're going to move on to our next presentation, which will be the bulk of our presentation this evening. We are very, very fortunate to have the Los Angeles County Assessor with us tonight, Assessor Jeff Prang.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the invitation to join you. I want to thank Mayor Bass for inviting me to join this evening as we collaboratively serve our mutually impacted residents. Obviously, LA County has experienced a devastating collective loss of homes, businesses, and entire communities that have been damaged or destroyed by the fires. And I did want to assure everybody that the Assessor's Office is working very diligently to support affected property owners by offering on-the-ground assistance. I'm glad to share more information on how we're helping affected property owners through this presentation. I hope that the information and resources shared this evening will be helpful. I did want to introduce on the line with us is Jerry House, who is our Director of Assessor Operations, as well as Lawrence Liu. Both of them are subject matter experts should some questions come up that require a little bit more detailed knowledge. Over the last few weeks, my team and I have been offering direct assistance to residents at the official FEMA disaster centers throughout the county. We've attended numerous community meetings, town halls, webinars, doing the best we can do to get information out to the public about property assessment and property taxes. We're online and in person and trying to make ourselves as accessible to the people who need us as possible. There's a couple things that are the primary programs that are available for those who have been impacted by the fires. The first program is called Misfortune and Calamity. The Misfortune and Calamity Relief Program assists homeowners to qualify for a reassessment of their home's value at a lower rate following a natural disaster. There are two primary qualifications. One, your damage has to exceed $10,000, and that can be for things such as smoke damage as well. The claim must be filed within 12 months of the incident date, although I am sponsoring legislation that will extend the application period to 24 months to give people an opportunity to apply. Under this program, wildfire victims will see their property tax bills lowered until they begin to rebuild their homes. Additionally, once the application is filed, the treasurer tax collector will notify applicants that their property taxes have been deferred. You will not be responsible for paying for instance, your second installment on your property taxes this April. We're going to be recalculating that property tax bill based on the damage to your property. However, if you do pay your property taxes through an impound account through your mortgage company, we don't have any control of that. And you'll have to contact your mortgage provider to see how they'll deal with those taxes. If you do pay your property taxes through an impound account and they don't stop payment, you will get a refund later in the year. The second program, which is available, is called a decline in value. And this is for homeowners whose properties were not physically damaged, but whose market value has dropped significantly due to this disaster. This program allows for temporary reductions in the assessed value when the current market value of a property falls below its assessed value as of January 1st. Current law does present some challenges with this because the annual lien date in which we do a snapshot of property value is January 1st. Obviously, the fires took place a week later. Under the normal conditions, any property tax relief that might be applied due to a decline in value would not take effect until next year. This is another area where I've asked for legislation to be introduced that would allow us to include fire impacted properties under the January 1st, 2025 lien date so that they can get tax relief faster. Governor Newsom, you may be aware that he signed an executive order allowing all property tax payments to be deferred until April of 2026 for wildfire affected homeowners in specific zip codes. You can wait till April of next year without any penalty or interest rates. Impacted homeowners and businesses may also qualify for extended state and federal income tax filings until October 15th of this year. In LA County, if you filed for a misfortune and calamity claim and paid taxes directly to the tax collector, the tax collector, again, as I stated previously, recommends that you not pay your April installment until you get a new updated tax bill. One of the questions that comes up quite a bit is people are afraid that when they rebuild their home that they're going to be assessed based on the new construction. That's not the way this program works under misfortune and calamity. If you rebuild your property to what is substantially equivalent to what was there prior to the fire, your taxes will be restored to what they were prior to the fire. In the meantime, those who qualify for misfortune and calamity will have properties reassessed at a lower value until they begin rebuilding any physical structures. At that point, once you begin construction, once those permits are issued, state law says that I've got to start doing my job in assessing the property, and we will assess partial construction as of January 1st of each year. There's a couple of important details to note about this tax relief program. That once your misfortune and calamity form is applied, the property's value is not completely erased. While the structures or the improvements, as we call them, may be damaged or destroyed, the land beneath still retains value and are still accessible. Although in light of this unprecedented event, we're also determining a percentage of reduction in the value of the land. Once the structure is rebuilt, the property's original tax base prior to the disaster will be reinstated. It will not be increased to a new higher value as long as it's rebuilt to a substantial equivalent of the original structure. As as property owners begin to think about rebuilding, it's also important that they be aware of the requirements for the different forms of relief provided by various government agencies, specifically those the differences between those related to the expediting of the rebuilding process and those that are related to your property assessment and property taxes. First, regarding the rebuilding process, on January 12th and 13th, the governor and mayor issued executive orders that would allow property owners to bypass certain permit review requirements, thereby expediting the reconstruction process. A requirement to qualify for this expedited permitting process is that the size of the structure being rebuilt must not exceed 110% of the original structure in its pre-damaged state. However, this 110% requirement is different from the standards that my office applies in assessing property rebuilt after a disaster. As I mentioned, when a property is damaged, we will reduce your tax base by an amount commensurate with the damage incurred. That will remain in place until the rebuilding process begins. When the process is complete, if the rebuilt structure is substantially equivalent to the damaged or destroyed property, your pre-damage tax base will be reinstated. Substantially equivalent means similar in size and use. However, if a property owner uses the building process as an opportunity to add more features that did not exist before the fire, those additions will be assessed at market value, and that value will be added to the reinstated tax base for the property. So in short, if you plan to rebuild a structure that's 110% the size of the original one, while you may qualify for a faster permit review and building process, the 10% that exceeds the original structure may result in an increase in property taxes. Kind of moving on to a different topic, one of the things that we know is happening right now is there's a lot of potential scammers and other unscrupulous individuals trying to take advantage of the victims of these wildfires. And I want to remind everybody that there is no government office, including mine, that will ever charge you for our services. They may offer to file applications for you for misfortune, calamity, or decline in value. There's no reason to ever pay anybody to do that. They cannot provide you any additional value that you could get on your own. The applications are not that difficult to apply. If you suspect you've been the victim of a potential property-related scam, please rely on your common sense. And if something doesn't make sense to you, ask for a business card or request additional information, and then take steps to verify that firm and the representation its agents have made. Occasionally, it will be necessary for an appraiser to visit and physically inspect property for assessment purposes. My appraisers all carry their official County of Los Angeles photo identification, and I would not admit anybody claiming to be working for my office on your property if they cannot show their official county ID. A couple other things to help protect yourself while you are in the rebuilding process. We have a program called the Homeowner Alert Service, as well as another one called the e-notification. You can go on our website and you can register your email address with your property, and you will be alerted anytime something is recorded on your property. One of the things that could happen now, you're probably familiar with a lot of recent occurrences of title fraud. This notification will notify you within 48 hours by email if anything is recorded on your property, such as a grant deed, a deed of trust, or a lien. And if it's not something that you intended to be recorded, it'll give you instructions as how to report that to the proper authorities. Very easy to register. The program is totally free, and it will help keep your property more safer during this this very sensitive time during the rebuilding process. You can also set up a personal profile on the assessor's e-service account. This will allow you to take care of a lot of functions online that you used to have to come into our office or file by mail. You'll be able to update your mailing address so we can keep in touch with you during the rebuilding process. You can file your misfortune calamity claims as well as submit an application for the homeowner's exemption, which is a property tax savings program available to anybody who owns and lives in their home. Lastly, as we to the meet the demand as well as support affected homeowners by the impacted by the wildfires. We launched the online submission of the misfortune and calamity claims process. You can do that now from your smartphone without having to print paper or submit original signatures. We'll accept electronic signatures online. So that is the bulk of the information I wanted to convey this evening. For more information, visit our website, which is assessor.lacounty.gov. You could attend one of the FEMA disaster centers located at the UCLA Research Park on West Pico, or the Altadena Disaster Recovery Center, which are open all day, or call us or visit in one of our offices. But I appreciate this opportunity to share this information. Look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you so much, Assessor Prang. And we do have a series of questions for you, so we will come right back to you after we provide a few updates in regards to pools. So the next set of slides will be presented first by our Bureau Director, the City of Los Angeles Sanitation Bureau within the Department of Public Works. We will be presenting how to address issues related to your swimming pools, which was a big topic of conversation on many of these webinars. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Barbara Romero with the LA Sanitation Bureau.
Good evening. We've received a lot of questions about what residents should do about debris in their swimming pools and can they drain their swimming pools. We developed some guidance to manage your swimming pools in these fire impacted areas. For starters, you should avoid using it until your pool has been cleaned properly in accordance with the guidance from LA County Department of Public Health. Lisa Frias will be from Department of Public Health. The County Department of Public Health will be speaking after me. Your debris removal process will be different depending on whether you're participating in the Army Corps program or not, or you're opting out, and or you do not qualify but you still have ashes in your pool. First, for residents who are opt in to the Army Corps program, please do not drain your pool. The Army Corps of Engineers will remove the debris and may utilize the water in the pool for dust control. If any remaining water remains, draining pools should follow the protocols that we have described in our guidance, and we'll have the link available to you if you haven't already received it. For residents who opt out of the government program, the residents are authorized to use their authorized contractor will be the one responsible for the proper removal of any debris in their swimming pools. And residents who are not eligible for the program should not drain their pool until it is properly cleaned. And steps to clean the debris are very quickly: remove any floating debris, check the pH levels, and just to summarize, make sure that your recirculation system is operating properly. The question is, for those who are not eligible, what do you do with your debris? Well, you can bag it, double bag it in a black bag and put it in your black bin, and we'll pick it up on your trash day, which is typically on Tuesday. Lastly, we establish a reservation system if you are going to drain your pool, and you can call our phone numbers at 323-342-6268, and will be listed here. If you schedule an appointment for a drainage start date, we are guaranteeing that we will send you confirmation details, and we plan to approve that within 1 business day. So far, we received 39 applications, and the biggest question that we've been getting is, if we do not have power and we don't have water or an operational pool, should we drain it, and how do we refill it? Well, we recommend that you wait until you have water and power and operational equipment. I know that Lisa Frias from Department of Public Health might have more answers for you as well. So for any more information on our guidelines, please, we'll make sure to put them in the link, and on the mayor's website. They'll be on the Councilmember Parks website, and also you can go to lacitysand.org. Thank you very much, and I'm here to answer any additional questions.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Next, we are honored to welcome Lisa Frias, Director of Environmental Health with the LA County Department of Public Health.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for allowing me to be here and share some information on pools. As Barbara mentioned, it is really important. If you do not have power, do not drain your pool. You don't want to be in a position where you don't have the ability to refill it properly. So I'm going to address it from different perspectives. One is, if you have a pool, you have no power, then of course, what do? Right. So the concerns that you're going to be dealing with is first checking to make sure that, it's fencing. We got to prevent anybody from falling into those pools. If you opt in, and I'm glad the Army Corps is here, they'll be able to provide you with what they'll be doing as far as providing some enclosure around the area. It still may not meet the regulatory requirements, but at least there's an enclosure that will prevent or discourage anybody from falling into the pool. From a public health perspective, of course, we are concerned with mosquito breeding. When you don't have any power, you don't have any ability to recirculate the water, mosquitoes are going to definitely be an issue. So until that time that we're able to get the pools up, mosquitoes are going to be the biggest public health concern that we all have to deal with. We do have some options available to you as far as using mosquito dunks. I would definitely recommend that if you have the ability to contact the mosquito vector control, the vector district, here's the number on the screen, that you obtain some fish to be able to add fish into your pools that are not able to circulate. That'll help keep the mosquito population down. Right now it's been cold, so we're in a good position. However, as soon as the temperatures start to heat up, we're going to start having the ability for those mosquitoes. And there's a lot of mosquito potential breeding that is going to be available. As Barbara said, we do have a lot of guidance available on the public health, LA County Public Health.gov website that's available to you. And we also have environmental health specialists that are available to answer any questions that you may have with respect to your pool at the 626 number that's posted on your screen, and at ourhealth@ph.lacounty.gov. So once again, we will work with you as you go through this. The mosquito vector districts and public health are here to support you and make sure that you're able to recirculate your pools once it's safe to do so, and yet you have the water to be able to do it. If you haven't been impacted heavily and you have the ability to go through the cleaning process, as Barbara said, then please make sure that you inspect your pools first. Go through I would definitely recommend it if you're not able to do it yourself, hire a professional pool company to come out and get your chemistry back up with your water before you go back into it. With that, I will go ahead and turn it over to the next presenter.
Thank you so much. Let's welcome Army Corps of Engineers Colonel Brian Saucer.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me tonight. My name is Colonel Brian Saucer. I'm the commander of the Emergency Field Office here in the Palisades impacted area, which includes Pacific Palisades, the unincorporated communities, and also the city of Malibu. So with pools specifically, you'll see on the chart here that what will be done if you opt into the program, the government-sponsored Phase 2 program that is being executed and overseen by the Corps of Engineers. So if you opt in, what will be done is that pools that are assessed to be within the structural ash footprint, they will be cleared of debris in the pool, and then at the discretion of the owner in partnership, as we work through the removal of debris on your property, we will ask to utilize the water for dust control measures and the wet method that we utilize to collect your debris. That is a conversation. You do not have to let us use the water, but we will ask to use the water, and that is at your discretion. And then, as been discussed by the previous presenters, we do render the pool safe. So we will put a fencing around the pool. That'll come in the form of a chain link fence. And the right-hand side of this slide, what it depicts there is, unfortunately, pools, if you ask us to remove a pool, that is not eligible under the federal program. So we will not remove the pool in accordance with the guidelines provided by FEMA as we execute debris removal. We will not refill or fill your pool either with water or sediment if you so choose. And then just a particular note, if pools are at distance and deemed to be outside the structural ash footprint, they would not be eligible under this program as well. I look forward to your questions, and thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Colonel Saucer, and everybody that presented this evening. We will turn now to live Q&A and answer some of the questions that have come up in the chat for everyone here. And additionally, through the Q&A function that Zoom provides, you are able to see all the answered questions in an answered question queue that you should be able to access at the bottom of your screen. We'll continue to answer those questions in writing, as well as ask a few questions here verbally. So let's start with some questions regarding property tax relief. So Assessor Prang, we'll invite you to come back onto the screen. There's a question generally that is from Janet Lease, who's asking, what happens to my property's assessed value if and when I rebuild my home? She actually copied and pasted from an FAQ, I believe, from your office.
Sure.
And some of the FAQ is a little confusing, about 120%. So if you could try to explain it in simpler terms, that would be very helpful.
So there are two programs under misfortune and calamity. One of them allows you to, the primary one that we recommend to most people is the one that allows you to rebuild a substantial equivalent of what was there before the fire, something of approximately the same size. There is the governor's major disaster declaration that allows you to build up to 120% of value. That's not size, it's of value. So the longer, and it's a value based on the value of the property prior to the fire. So the longer you wait to rebuild, the less value that 120% represents. We don't talk a lot about it because we don't think it's a particularly good program for people to apply to. We think the normal normal misfortune and calamity program is the preferable program. It's been very confusing though, because the city, as well as the governor, have allowed for a building up to 110% of size, but that does not coincide with what the Revenue and Taxation Code permits. And it's also confusing because this disaster declaration talks about 120% of value, which doesn't correlate to size as well. So it's a little confusing. My apologies, but that's the gist of things.
Thank you, Assessor. That's very helpful. There's another question from a constituent, Mark Galanty. Mark is asking that it seems as though his square footage seems to be wrong on the assessor's website, his square footage prior to the fires. If there's information that needs to be corrected, what guidance do you have for people? How do they go about getting that corrected?
There's on our website, there is an opportunity to offer a property correction form that will help us to update our records to reflect what's there. Very
good. If we could get that sent to everybody in the chat, the assessor's website, that would be excellent.
Sure.
Appreciate that.
I'll ask Lawrence Liu, who's with my office, if he could put some of this stuff on the website.
Excellent. Very good. I'll go ahead and turn to some questions regarding pools now, since we did have quite a number of good guidance and present slides related to pools. So we have a question from a number of constituents regarding that there's an advisement that fire and ash and debris for parcels that are ineligible for phase 2, meaning standing homes in particular, should be deposited in the black bin waste system. However, numerous parcels have been experienced a roll down or runoff of toxic metals, pressurized tanks, and so forth from burned parcels. Is the guidance that the disposal, or can LA Sand please provide support for the disposal of these suspected hazmat debris? Is that something that LA Sand could answer?
Well, if they're hazmat, they have to be treated, they have to go to specific, uh, debris areas. So I would have to get more information. So I think what I would like to do is if I can talk to this person, because if it's hazardous, we're not accepting it in our bins, but we are only talking about the ashes and debris in the swimming pool. So that's different. Or if they have a bulky item that is, they can call in for a bulky item, but hazardous, it's a different story. But I can follow up and provide some additional guidance to the gentleman.
Okay, so that was a question from Eric Bolins. So we'll make sure that we get Eric's contact information over to the LA Sanitation team, and someone will follow up with you, Eric. Appreciate the question.
Yeah, good question though.
Yeah, we have another question from Vicky Fox. Vicky is asking, she has a jacuzzi in her backyard, but no pool. Can people with jacuzzis in their backyard apply for the help in discharging the water? Barbara?
If they have cleaned the debris and they followed the protocols that we described, they can schedule an appointment to do their own discharge. Absolutely.
Okay, excellent, very good. And I'll go ahead and there's a number of requests for your slide deck, Assessor Prang. So if it's okay with you, are we able to circulate that to all the attendees here on the line?
Yes, feel free to share it.
Okay, very good. We'll go ahead and do that. Excellent. Let's see. We have a number of people asking also about pools. This is actually a water question. It might be a joint question between the Department of Water and Power and the Department of Sanitation. I believe we have Jonathan from the Department of Water and Power. Are you on the line, Jonathan?
Yes,
All right.
I am. Hi.
Excellent.
Good
Thank you
evening.
so much for being with us. So there's a number of people essentially asking, my house does not have power or water. One individual named Lynn Savory Caller is on the Alphabet Streets of Pacific Palisades. So she cannot refill her pool because she doesn't have water or power. But if the Army Corps drains her pool, then what is she supposed to do at that point in time to ensure that the pool remains uncracked and so forth? Jonathan, can you provide any update on when you think timeline-wise, a ballpark
Sure.
figure when water may be back on and safe?
Yeah,
And
and
power.
I can absolutely. I'll provide an answer. I just want to make sure there's a couple things at play. The water service, the pressure has all been restored. There were some temporary shutoffs for leaking valves and different things like that on property. So if it's a matter that there's no water service to the home, I'd encourage the individuals to contact 1-800 dial DWP. We want to make sure we send a crew and open up that water service for you. So that could be issue number one. Issue two, as far as the quality of the water, we continue to amass a lot of water quality test results. Most of it has been good, but as mentioned on Tuesday, we did get some detections of benzene, which we're doing reflushing and cleaning. That was maybe 14 samples out of a total of 365 so far. So we are on our way to getting everything cleared. Of course, we will not be able to lift the do not drink notice until all the drinking water standards are met, and that in collaboration with the state regulator, the Division of Drinking Water, that the water is safe to use. So we're making progress. I estimate within 2 or 3 weeks, we should be in a much better spot and potentially have this do not drink notice lifted. And I think then would remove any questions on what the restrictions or advice might be for people on how to use water.
Thank you, Jonathan, and the Department of Water and Power team. We know that you've gotten the power back on at this point. We thank you for that, and you're working on getting us clean water. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all of your work. Related to the pools, we do have a question for the Army Corps. There's a question from Michael Blum. The question is, if the Army Corps is using contaminated pool water to keep dust down, isn't the earth going to be further polluted? And this may be a question for both the Army Corps as well as Lisa from the Department of Public Health. Army Corps, Colonel Saucer?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. Thank you for that question. So essentially the water that is in the pool at the election of the owner, we can utilize for saturation of the existing ash footprint. So that is essentially what you would have in that water would be what's on your property already. And that would be used to saturate that ash footprint. And then that we would collect it utilizing what we call the wet method before we put that in encapsulated plastic in the dump truck for eventual transport. So it's essentially the same material that is in that footprint at that time.
Right, that is correct. So actually it benefits to some extent because you're using that water that would otherwise go somewhere else to actually help with the cleanup process. And then it'll be properly handled and then taken to a landfill.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And there's a question from Elliot Gross on where do I get the forms to drain my pool? Barbara?
Sorry, I was having a hard time. You can get your form at our website, lacity.org. Is one place. Like I said, it's also going to be, we can put the link here in the webinar chat, and it's on the mayor's link, and it's also on the council members link. So there's plenty of ways that we can get that. It's a one pager. It'll take you 2 minutes to fill out, and we're guaranteeing an appointment within a day.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. LAcity.gov. LAcity.gov. Please feel free to go there and you will find all the recovery. Click on recovery. You'll get all the resources, including the pool guidance and the links to the forms and so forth. Excellent. I do have a question for you, Colonel Saucer, a follow-up question from Roseanne. Roseanne Zinnerg is asking, what is the meaning of the structural ash footprint?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question, and we get that one quite often. So during what we conduct with our structural engineers and the construction team that's going to be performing the debris removal, we do a 360 walk around the property, and we define the ash footprint as dictated by FEMA. So when a structure unfortunately burns, it typically doesn't burn necessarily straight up and down. It may fall one way or another, and so the bulk of the ash footprint is then defined as per FEMA guidance, and that ash footprint will normally encompass a pool because a pool is typically adjacent to the main structure or the house itself. And so that ash footprint is what the eye would see as the majority of the ash on the property. And so it is a teamwork decision. The Corps of Engineers oversees that with a contractor, with engineer and construction under guidance from FEMA, and that perimeter is defined. Questions are asked, and the homeowner can be part of that process. That 360 walkthrough occurs on day one. And so when the homeowner is notified 3 days out before work begins, and then notified again 1 day out before work begins, they can be part of that process and have an understanding and be involved in a Q&A and discourse with the Corps of Engineers as we assess your property prior to debris removal.
Thank you very much. Okay, I have a question regarding power. If we have John Vanacore from LADWP on, if John, you could come on, that would be great. There are a number of folks just clarifying. I want to make sure my statements are accurate because some people are saying, hey, you're saying the power's on, but my power is not on. I have a standing home. Many streets have power that's not on, or potentially homes, individual homes on streets. So John, can you make sure that I'm accurate? What is the status of power at the moment? And if someone doesn't have power, what should they do?
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So thanks for having me. I will tell you, we've got about 85% of all standing structures energized at the moment. We have about 800 on generators that are in areas that are just too impacted to get power to, and we're fueling those regularly. Today, we energized 28 more structures. It's the ones that are not energized currently are the ones that had the most impact. They're in the tightest area with the most impact of overhead lines. So we're currently doing them step by step. I know it's problematic for people that want to get back in, and my heart goes out to you. We are going as fast as we can. We have many crews working 24/7 around the clock. And we've even brought contract crews in to try to string wire. If they do not have power, they need to call 1-800 dial DWP. We will treat it as a trouble job and they will work on it until we get it done. But like I said, currently today we energize 28 homes. So it's slowly coming, but I would say we're probably another couple of weeks away from getting everybody on.
Okay, thank you, John. And I appreciate all the constituents who have written in to say, please stop saying the power is back on, because it's not fully back on for everybody. And I appreciate the correction, John, so that we could be as accurate as possible for those in the Palisades. Thank you for all the efforts.
You got it.
Okay, I'm going to ask Colonel Saucer to come back on. Colonel, there's a few questions regarding the pace of debris removal in the Palisades, and some concerns about the pace and worry about, we're not seeing on the storyboard much progress. We've all turned in our ROEs. Could you talk a little bit about that, Colonel Saucer? And one thing that I'll note is that my understanding is this is the first time that Phase 2 debris removal has started this early in California history after such a disaster, of course, in terms of the Palisades fire. But if you could provide a little bit of context in terms of the speed, as well as any historical perspective, that would be much appreciated.
No, that's an excellent point, and I understand everyone's concern. And to your point, not only in the state of California, but nationally for wildfire responses that the Corps has had, this is the fastest we have moved into a phase 2 in any of those responses. And this also happens to be the largest response that we've ever had. So, and I know that rings hollow to a lot of folks because, the timeliness is certainly of a valid concern. The county itself has contracted a firm to assist with the processing of ROEs. And that is a difficult process because it's not only the receipt of ROE, but there's a verification process that goes into that, verification of ownership, and then a determination of eligibility. And those are pretty critical steps that take a little bit of time to process those ROEs. What I have seen is it's not been a linear receipt of ROEs, it's been exponential. So every day we're seeing an exponential increase in the number of ROEs that we do receive and the number of ROEs that we're able to begin in action in the communities. It's an absolute valid question. We did start last week. We started last week essentially with 1 crew, and that was in the Pacific Palisades. And now we have 15 crews, and that's going to grow, again, not linearly, but exponentially as we bulk up to 30, 50, 75 crews in the weeks to come, not the months to come. And so I understand we talked about for a while the ramp up period. We're still very much in the ramp up period, but we will get to peak effort much quicker than we ever have seen historically. And I am happy to say too that we are not only in the Pacific Palisades actively removing debris. We're removing debris now in Sunset Mesa, along PCH that began today as well, and we're furthering expanding. It is not a necessarily east to west movement or south to north movement. We're spidering out to areas as soon as we can to begin in a fair distribution of assets as we move through phase 2. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, back to pool guidance. We have some folks asking for the LA sanitation information again. So what I'm going to ask is for our team to put that into the chat, as well as for the slide to reappear here. Thank you, back on the screen. If you need to request support regarding your pool discharge, schedule an appointment, you are welcome to call the numbers on your screen, 323-342-6268 or 323-342-6201. You are also welcome to scan the QR code there, as well as click on the link that will be provided in your chat. We hope that that is helpful to you. Susie, you had requested that information to come back onto the screen. So hopefully that is providing you with exactly what you need in terms of your pool guidance. All right. I think we're going to go back now to some questions for the assessor. If we could go back to back to the assessor, that would be wonderful. If you could come on video again, sir. Thank you very much. There are some questions. You may have answered some of those questions already. That's excellent news. Let me see if there's any that we haven't yet had the chance to answer. There's still some general questions about the 120% value, Assessor Prang.
Oh, yeah, that is I've seen a couple questions in the chat. I'm going to ask Lawrence Liu if he could help explain this. It is actually very, very confusing, and it's because we're talking from the city's perspective of 110% of land. This 120% is of value. It is a value that is measured against the value of your property before the fire, and that value will diminish over time depending on how long it takes to rebuild. Lawrence, can you chime in and help explain this better than I can?
Yeah, so what we're looking at is what your house would be worth on the market before the fire occurred. So we would look a day ahead before the fire occurred. What would your house be worth on the market? And then that would be your starting point. And then when you rebuild, that value that was determined pre-fire, we would allow you to build the exact same home at the same value plus an additional 20%, 120%. So for instance, if your house was worth $1 million before the fire, you can build up to $1.2 million in value. And then if you do build within $1.2 million in value, we would restore your full base year.
The reason we don't talk about this a great deal is because we recognize it may be a lengthy period of time to rebuild, and that 120% of value diminishes over time.
Hi, this is Jerry from the assessor. I think I can explain it because we're getting a lot of questions. There's actually two provisions. Both of them say essentially you have to rebuild. Your replacement property that you rebuild has to be substantially equivalent of what you had prior. They have different tests of comparability, and they're mutually exclusive. One test is a test of value. The other one has a test of similarity of functionality, utility, and size. So on one, we will appraise the test, the 120% value test. We will appraise your property, the replacement property, the day of acquisition, and also appraise the original property the day before the disaster. On that value test, if the replacement property is within 120% of the value of the original property, you would qualify under that provision. The other provision merely says, if what you build is similar, we're going to go ahead and restore your tax base. But for that one, the test of comparability comes down to utility and size, which utility just means similar enjoyment. You had a residence, you built a residence. It was a 3-2, it was a 3-2, and it's similar in square footage. So they're different. One's a test of similarity based on size and utility. The other one is a test on value.
Thank you. We really appreciate everybody from the assessor's team joining us today. These are complicated questions and complicated answers, and so we appreciate you all sharing in as great as detail and so forth as you can. And we hope that folks will follow up with your office as well if they continue to have questions.
One more important thing to add is that everybody qualifies for both. So the provision that provides the maximum benefit will be applied.
Excellent. Very good. All right. So there are a number of questions asking, how do we get this information? It's hard for us to take notes. We're in transit, etc. So I do want to go to our slide around frequently asked questions and make sure that everybody knows that you can go to lacity.gov and click on recovery. You'll be able to access a frequently asked questions document where you will be able to get a bunch of the questions that were asked and answered here tonight available to you, and you can scan through that. You can use, the finding search word functions and find a lot of the questions answered on this frequently asked questions page. lacity.gov And also, if you are near your computer and with your phone, you're welcome to scan this QR code and it will send you to the lacity.gov website where the frequently asked questions site will be available to you. Next slide, please. Our next session will be on Tuesday, February 25th at 5 p.m. We are going to focus on the rebuilding process. Many people in the chat tonight were also asking, how quickly can I rebuild after I get the debris removed from my property? And the answer is you can actually begin the permitting process and so forth now at the One Stop Shop. We're going to provide an overview of what is offered at the One Stop Shop, as well as the overall rebuilding process on Tuesday evening, February 25th at 5 p.m. Please RSVP through this QR code or the link in your chat. We will also follow up via email and text. And with that, we are at time. We want to respect everybody's evening and say thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We thank our county assessor, Jeffrey Prang, and his team for joining us, as well as our Army Corps of Engineers team, our LA Sanitation team, our county public health team, and our Caltrans team. We are appreciative of your partnership, and we look forward to continuing to lock arms and move forward with this rebuilding process in the Palisades and the entire county of Los Angeles. Thank you all so much and have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.